Hey there, friend. This is Steve Haverly. Hey, I wanted to come to you today and do as I promised the other day and bring you a training section here on one of the most easily misunderstood concepts when it comes to our relationships and one of the most easily fixed issues. I got a reply back from Jennifer. I appreciate that, Jennifer. She was asking a question and said that I don't think I quite understand this principle. And the principle is worded this way, in my words. Don't give somebody what you want them to receive, give them what they want to receive, or so many words. It's the same thing. Don't give them what you want to give them what they want to get. And it sounds so simple, but I think this is one of the most overlooked issues in our world today, especially when it comes to relationships. It could be your love relationship, or it could be any relationship with a friend, a coworker, but I think it's really especially magnified when it comes to our spouse or our love relationships with our mate. It's easily misunderstood. It's also very closely related to the golden rule that Jesus taught, which is do unto others as you would have them do to you. Well, I think that's part of the problem. We stop right there and we assume that that means whatever we want done to us, we do to other people. Like, for example, if I like chocolate ice cream, give chocolate ice cream to other people. But here's where the problem really lies. What happens when, unknowing to us, we give chocolate ice cream to someone who doesn't like chocolate? You see the problem. We're doing something to the best of our ability, and we think it's great because we love chocolate. However, that person doesn't like chocolate, and maybe they're just cordial enough to not mention to you that I really don't like this, and they accept it anyway, and you wonder why. And of course, I'm using that as just an example, something simple, something silly like ice cream. But it really goes to a deeper level in our relationships, and I'll explain that in just a moment. Let me tell you a quick story about my grandmother. Dear woman, loved me with all her heart. She would have given me anything. When I was a teenager, she took me to buy a new coat. Now, you got to remember, back in the day, this is a time styles were changing, and my grandmother, of course, she still lived in the time when, whatever looked good to her is what she thought that people should be wearing. And she took me to this nice clothing store in town and wanted to pick out a coat to buy me for a winter coat. Well, of course, to make a long story short, I started picking out coats that she just didn't like. It was something new that had come in, and it was a different look than she was used to. Well, she kept wanting me to try on these coats that looked like things that my dad would have worn when he was a teenager, which is fine, but it wasn't what I wanted. But she kept trying to push off these coats on me, trying her best to make me look good in the end. But it was hard for her to, and she still didn't really at that point understand that to do something nice for me was to give me what I wanted and not try to push off on me what she wanted me to have. That's sort of a simplified version. Now, how does this play out in our relationships? Well, let me give you an example. Or not an example, but to teach you about a principle, more or less. Gary Chapman, in his book, The 5 Love Languages, talks about these types of principles when it comes to our marriage. And really, I think it speaks to the very heart of our relationships. Let's say, for example, my wife finds affection when I pat her on the shoulder and kiss her on the cheek and rub her arm, those types of things. Those things are related just to physical touch. Now, we're not talking about sexual activity right now. We're talking about just affectionate touching, sitting next to one another where our legs just touch each other, where we're in close proximity, where we can pat and hold hands and things like that. However, on your side of the coin, what really speaks love to you is when somebody does chores for you that you don't want to do. For example, if you're the person in the home who sweeps the floor or cleans the toilets or takes out the trash or whatever, you get love when somebody does a job for you that they weren't required to do, or that was your job to do. And suddenly, oh, they really love me because they did that job for me. They swept the floor for me. They took out the trash. They went and bought the groceries for me. They paid the bills for me. That's normally my job. They did that. They must love me so much. But your spouse just, it's not that they don't appreciate it, but they don't hear love by actions such as those. She gets it from the touches and the pats. Not that she doesn't appreciate when you do something, but she just hears, or he just hears love in a different way. And that is a fact. That is a thing that's real out there. So this comes right down to the point, is when I want to show my wife I love her, I've got to find out what it is that says to her, I love you. I can't just do what I like, because that may or may not be what she likes. And you may not have understood up to this very moment that that's a real issue. It is. And this is where people make such a mistake. We always think that because I like it in my head, it means it seems right to me, it must seem right to everybody. That's not the case. Some cases are people that they like to get things. They like for you to bring them home little treats and snacks and flowers and candy and cards. And other people may appreciate that, but that really doesn't sink into them, I love you. It may be more of, let's go on a hike together, or let's go fishing together, let's go snowboarding together. Activities. That may be the thing that really says, I love you, when you go do these special activities with me. So see, the point is not to give them what we like. If you find out that your spouse is the same as you and they like what you like, then that's fine. But that's the point. We have to take time and energy to find out. Now, there are two good ways to do this. One of the simplest and easiest and most direct is to use dialogue. Sit down with your partner and investigate this and find out, what does my wife or husband, what do they really want? What do they like the most? And you'll find out. You may find out that you've had this wrong in the past, or may make a few surprises to you. So dialogue is one. And the other is notice their behavior. If you bring her home flowers and she's like, oh, that's nice, but, I really wish you would sit with me and watch this movie. Well, then that should be a clue to you that she's sending you signals that the flowers are nice, but what really speaks to me is when you spend time with me, or you sit next to me, or if in other cases where you do the chores. I really would, when you wash those dishes for me, that really says you love me. Or you pick up after yourself, that really speaks to me that you love me. So, there again, the moral of the story today, this has been a little longer than usual, but it's very, very important. The moral of this story is, find out what your spouse likes and give them that. Don't give them what you want them to have. Give them what they want to receive. And you'll find out it'll make a huge difference in your relationship, okay? Try that out. This is Steve Haverly. Go make it a great day.